The
Alex
defenses
Mercer
won't
sat
hold,
in the
my
quiet
lady.
briefing
We
room,
must
tapping a
retreat while
pen
we
nervously
can.
against the edge of the table.
I
The
will
assignment
not
had
yield
sounded
this
simple
hall.
enough. Deliver a goodwill package to Lithara, observe their governance, and report back, the official had said. Simple, routine, something that would look good on a resume and nothing more. Alex had imagined a short trip, a few polite handshakes, some notes, and a return to Earth with a sense of accomplishment.
You will assemble
That had
the
been the
Legion
plan.
at once.
Now, as the
We
shuttle's
march
engines
at
hummed
dawn,
beneath him,
with
Alex
or
felt the weight
without
of
his
anticipation
consent.
in a way he had not expected. Outside the viewport, space stretched in endless black, dotted with stars that sparkled like distant lanterns. It was beautiful and terrifying all at once. The Lithara system was a few light years from the nearest human colony, a remote world known mostly for its strange ecosystems and even stranger political customs. When the shuttle's thrusters slowed and the planet came into view, Alex's breath caught. Lithara was not like Earth at all. Its surface shimmered with colors he could hardly name. Vast forests glowed faintly in bioluminescent green and blue. Rivers reflected light in impossible ways, like liquid glass catching sunlight from a distant star. Cities hovered in the sky, delicate platforms held aloft by energy fields that pulsed with a soft violet glow. A voice crackled through the intercom. "Welcome to Lithara, Envoy Mercer. Docking procedure complete. Please follow standard protocol upon disembarkation." The air was warm, slightly sweet, and carried the faint tang of ozone. Light shifted in strange ways, bouncing off surfaces and bending around shapes, making everything shimmer as if the world itself were alive. Before Alex could take it all in, figures approached. Tall, slender beings with elongated limbs and smooth, iridescent skin moved with grace. Their faces were symmetrical, almost alien in the literal sense. No noses, small mouths, and eyes that seemed to change color depending on the angle of the light. They moved silently but with purpose, and when one stepped forward, Alex felt the weight of intelligence behind the gaze. "You are Alex Mercer," the being said, voice melodic, almost musical. "We have awaited your arrival." "I am Liara, keeper of protocol." They entered a transport chamber, a glass-like vehicle that hovered effortlessly. Inside, the walls reflected the light in calming patterns, and Alex realized that every surface seemed to hum faintly with energy. As the vehicle rose, Alex could see more of the planet. Forests stretched endlessly below, dotted with floating cities and waterfalls that fell into nothingness, disappearing into the misty air. Creatures with luminous wings moved in synchronized patterns, like dancers rehearsing a ballet across the sky. Alex had expected alien life to be strange, but this was beautiful, surreal, almost dreamlike. When they arrived at the capital, Alex's jaw nearly dropped. A city built entirely in the sky, connected by bridges of light, with towers spiraling upward like crystal spires. Liara led him to a building at the highest point, a structure that seemed to pulse with energy in tune with the planet itself. "You will rest here," Liara said. "Tomorrow, your presence will be formally recognized." He set his bag down and sat on the edge of the bed, trying to calm his racing thoughts. The next morning, Alex was led to a grand hall filled with Illyrians. They were everywhere, their eyes glittering with curiosity and intelligence. At the center stood a figure taller and more radiant than anyone else. Alex's stomach dropped. That had to be the Queen. Liara gestured toward her. "Queen Liara, we understand that your people are curious about our world. We are pleased to share it with you. I will follow your guidance. It is a partnership, not what your species might immediately imagine, but it is a commitment of mind and spirit. You will work closely with me in all matters of diplomacy and culture. It is the highest honor we can grant." And now, without warning, he was being asked to marry, bond with an alien queen. He swallowed hard, trying to keep his voice steady. I see. We have long awaited an ally who can approach our customs with both respect and creativity." Their puzzles were abstract yet logical, their art forms dynamic and collaborative. Every moment required thoughtfulness, patience, and creativity. Alex struggled at first, but he soon realized something remarkable. The Illyrians valued not just correct answers, but innovative approaches. Humor, curiosity, and empathy were as important as intelligence. He found that his human tendencies, improvisation, emotional insight, and playful experimentation allowed him to succeed where pure logic might fail. One evening, after a particularly long day of observation and practice, Alex found himself sitting in the garden of the palace with Liara. Bioluminescent plants cast soft light around them, and the air carried the faint hum of the city below. You are learning quickly, Liara said. Alex smiled faintly. I'm trying. It's different from anything I've ever experienced. Your people are incredible. That is why you were chosen. Alex learned to participate in ceremonial rituals, to communicate ideas visually and emotionally, and to approach challenges with patience and creativity. Each success brought him closer to understanding the Illyrians, and closer to the bond that awaited. Yet, even as he adapted, Alex could not shake the feeling of strangeness. He was far from Earth, far from everything familiar. He had not expected to be placed in a position of such significance, nor had he imagined that his personal abilities would be tested in ways he had never considered. Every conversation, every puzzle, every interaction carried weight. One morning, as Alex prepared for another day of practice, Liara entered the room. Tomorrow, she said, you will begin the first formal stage of the bonding ceremony. It is a test of collaboration and understanding. Succeed, and you will take the first step toward partnership. His simple assignment had grown into something unimaginable, something that would test his mind, his creativity, and his humanity. And as he looked out over the glowing city below, he understood that nothing would ever be the same again. The morning sun, or at least what humans would call sunlight, washed over Lithara in a cascade of gentle, shimmering colors. Alex Mercer stood at the edge of the palace terrace, gazing down at the floating city below. Every tower, every bridge of light seemed alive. It pulsed with energy, not in a mechanical way, but as if the city itself breathed. He adjusted the strap of his uniform, trying to calm the nervous tension coiling in his stomach. Today was the first formal stage of the bonding ceremony, and he knew it would not be easy. Liara appeared silently beside him, her presence quiet yet commanding. "Are you prepared, Alex?" she asked, her voice as melodic as ever. Alex swallowed. "I think so, I hope so." Observation is not enough. You must contribute, participate, and demonstrate understanding. At the center of the hall lay a large platform, smooth and glowing faintly. Around it, intricate geometric shapes floated in midair, shifting in time with a soft hum. Liara gestured toward the platform. "This is the first test. You must collaborate with me to complete the creation. It is not a competition. It is a challenge of understanding and cooperation." Liara extended her hands toward the floating shapes, and they responded to her movements with fluid precision. She looked at Alex. "You may begin." Then he remembered something a human mentor had once told him. When in doubt, try something unexpected. He raised his hands slowly, mimicking Liara's movements but adding small, playful variations. At first, the shapes wavered uncertainly, but then they began to shift in new, surprising ways, forming patterns that seemed to dance between human intuition and Illyrian precision. Liara's eyes widened slightly, a rare sign of approval. "Interesting," she said. "Your approach is unconventional, yet it works. Continue." It was not perfect in the traditional Illyrian sense, but it was alive, expressive, and beautiful. The other Illyrians in the hall watched in silence, their glowing eyes reflecting curiosity and admiration. Hours passed. Alex and Liara worked together, their movements synchronizing in a rhythm that was part dance, part strategy, and part artistic improvisation. He discovered that the more he trusted his instincts, the more the creation flourished. It was as if the shapes responded not only to his hands, but to his thoughts, his ideas, and even his emotions. Finally, the platform's glow intensified, signaling the completion of the test. The shapes coalesced into a radiant structure that pulsed with energy, reflecting both Illyrian tradition and human creativity. A hush fell over the hall. Even Liara seemed momentarily surprised by the final result. "You have succeeded," she said softly. "Not by following our ways alone, but by blending them with your own. This is what we value in a bonded partner. You bring something new, something uniquely human." Illyrians surrounded him, expressing approval in ways that went beyond words, light patterns, gestures, and subtle harmonies. He realized that their communication was not limited to language, but extended into art, movement, and emotion. Humans communicated differently, but the Illyrians recognized value in those differences. That evening, Alex found himself walking with Liara in the palace gardens. Bioluminescent flowers cast soft light across the pathways, and delicate streams of water glowed faintly as they moved. The air was filled with subtle fragrances and the hum of life. "You have done well today," Liara said. "You are learning not only our methods, but the essence of what it means to bond with another. Trust, collaboration, and creativity are the foundation of our partnership." We have observed humans for centuries, but your presence here, it changes how we see possibilities. Your adaptability, empathy, and creativity are rare, even among the most advanced species we have encountered. He had never thought of himself as particularly remarkable, but hearing Liara's words made him realize that being human had value beyond what he had understood. Over the next several days, the lessons became more challenging. Alex was introduced to complex Illyrian artistic expressions, intricate logic puzzles, and collaborative projects that required him to work seamlessly with multiple participants. Each task was designed to push him beyond his comfort zone, to force him to think creatively and emotionally. He struggled at times. There were moments of frustration when the patterns did not respond as he expected or when his ideas clashed with the Illyrians' methods. Yet every time he discovered a way to adapt. His mistakes became learning opportunities, and his successes, however small, built confidence. One day, as he worked on a particularly intricate formation with Liara, Alex realized something remarkable. The Illyrians were not just testing his intelligence, they were testing his humanity. They wanted him to bring human qualities to their world, to offer perspectives that no Illyrian could conceive. Humor, curiosity, empathy, improvisation, these were not weaknesses but strengths. During a break, Alex watched Liara as she guided other participants. Her expression was patient yet focused, her movements precise yet elegant. He marveled at how she could balance authority with collaboration, structure with creativity. And then he thought of the upcoming stages of bonding. If this was only the beginning, what would he be called upon to do next? As he pondered, a small creature approached, a bioluminescent animal with wings that glimmered in soft hues. It hovered near him, chirping in a gentle, musical tone. Alex smiled, reaching out slowly. The creature landed on his hand, and for a moment he felt a connection that transcended species. It was a reminder that Lithara was alive in ways he had only begun to understand, and that his human qualities, curiosity, gentleness, and empathy, could bridge gaps even the most advanced technologies could not. Later, in the evening, Alex joined Liara for a private session of meditation and reflection. The Illyrian's meditation was unlike anything he had practiced on Earth. It involved not only focusing the mind, but harmonizing with the energy of the surroundings, sensing the flow of life in subtle ways. At first, Alex struggled to quiet his racing thoughts, but with Liara's guidance, he began to feel a deep connection to the planet, the people, and the purpose of his mission. "You are learning quickly," Liara said, "but there is more ahead." The bonding is not merely a test of skill. It is a trial of understanding, trust, and vision. You must see beyond what is immediately in front of you. You must imagine possibilities that no one has yet conceived. He realized that this was more than a personal trial. It was a chance to show the Illyrians, and perhaps himself, the value of human ingenuity and adaptability. Every moment, every decision, every idea mattered. The next morning, Alex was called to a new challenge. This time, he was to work with a group of Illyrians to create a collaborative structure that symbolized unity between species. It was an enormous task, combining logic, artistry, and emotion. At first, the team struggled. The Illyrian's methods clashed with his instincts, and frustration rose on both sides. Then Alex remembered the lessons he had learned: observation, empathy, and creativity. He suggested small, incremental changes, introducing human ideas gently alongside Illyrian methods. Slowly, the structure began to take shape. Shapes moved in harmony, patterns emerged, and the final creation radiated a brilliance that neither species could have achieved alone. Liara observed silently, her eyes reflecting pride and approval. "This is what bonding truly means," she said softly. "It is not dominance nor mere cooperation. It is a shared vision born of understanding and respect. You are learning what it means to be part of something greater than yourself." He understood now that the next stages of bonding would be even more demanding, but he felt ready. For the first time, he embraced the idea that his human qualities, curiosity, empathy, and ingenuity, were exactly what this alien world needed. And in that moment, as he gazed at the glowing city and the radiant queen beside him, he realized that the mission had already changed him in ways he could never have imagined. Tomorrow, the next stage would begin, and Alex knew he would face it not with fear, but with determination, creativity, and the uniquely human spirit that had brought him this far. The day of the bonding ceremony dawned with a soft glow that seemed to come from the planet itself. Alex Mercer stood on the terrace of the palace, looking down at the floating city of Lithara below. From this height, the city seemed alive, every tower, every bridge of light, pulsing gently in a rhythm that felt almost like a heartbeat. He adjusted the strap of his uniform and took a deep breath. Today was the day everything he had worked for would be tested. Liara appeared beside him, her presence calm yet commanding. "Today marks the culmination of your learning," she said, her voice melodic and serene. "The ceremony is both symbolic and practical. It will test your ability to work in harmony, to adapt, and to contribute meaningfully. Remember, this is not a competition. It is a partnership." He had spent weeks preparing for this moment, learning the customs, understanding the Illyrians' way of thinking, and discovering the unique value that his human qualities brought to the world. Yet, standing here now, he could not shake the flutter of nervous anticipation. They entered the grand hall, which was even more magnificent than before. Light danced across the walls and floors in fluid patterns, creating a sense of motion even in stillness. At the center of the hall was the ceremonial platform, a glowing surface that seemed to respond to every movement and thought. Above it, shapes floated and shifted, waiting to be manipulated, combined, and transformed into something extraordinary. Other Illyrians gathered around, their luminous eyes focused on the platform. Their presence was serene yet attentive, a reminder that this was not just a personal test, but a demonstration for the entire court. Alex took a deep breath and stepped onto the platform. The shapes above him responded immediately to his presence, moving and rearranging themselves in anticipation. Liara joined him, her hands extended gracefully toward the floating shapes. "You may begin," she said. Alex glanced around, taking in the complexity of the task. The shapes were intricate, constantly shifting and responding not only to motion but to intention. He knew that success would require both precision and imagination. He raised his hands, mimicking some of Liara's movements, but added subtle variations, small ideas drawn from his human creativity. The shapes wavered at first but gradually adapted to his approach, forming patterns that were unexpected yet harmonious. As they worked, Alex realized that the true challenge was not the shapes themselves, but the collaboration. Every movement he made needed to complement Liara's, every idea needed to blend with hers. There was no room for ego, no space for error. It was a dance of thought, intention, and imagination. Hours passed as they continued, their movements synchronizing with the rhythm of the shapes. Alex discovered that the more he trusted his instincts and allowed his creativity to guide him, the more the patterns flourished. Liara adapted seamlessly to his methods, integrating his human perspective into her precise and elegant style. Together, they created structures that were neither fully Illyrian nor entirely human, but something entirely new, an expression of partnership, understanding, and mutual respect. The other Illyrians watched in silence, their glowing eyes reflecting curiosity, admiration, and approval. Alex felt a surge of pride and relief. He had feared that his human qualities might be inadequate in this alien world, but now he saw that they were not only sufficient, they were essential. His creativity, adaptability, and intuition had brought something unique to the ceremony, something that neither species could have achieved alone. Finally, the shapes coalesced into a radiant formation that hovered above the platform, pulsating with light and energy. The hall was silent for a moment, the magnitude of their creation settling over everyone present. Then, Liara turned to Alex, her expression soft and approving. "You have succeeded," she said, "not by following our ways alone, but by blending them with your own. This is the essence of bonding. You bring something new, something uniquely human." The Illyrians' traditions were beautiful and precise, but they had lacked the spark of unpredictability and emotional insight that humans brought. Together, they had created something extraordinary. The celebration that followed was unlike anything Alex had experienced. Illyrians surrounded him, expressing approval through light patterns, subtle gestures, and harmonic tones that conveyed emotion and admiration. Words were unnecessary. The feeling of acceptance and appreciation filled the hall. Alex realized that this was more than recognition. It was an affirmation of humanity itself. Later, Alex walked with Liara through the palace gardens. The bioluminescent plants cast soft, colorful light across the pathways, and delicate streams of water glowed faintly as they flowed. The air was fragrant with subtle aromas, and the hum of life created a soothing atmosphere. "You have done well," Liara said. "You have demonstrated understanding, creativity, and cooperation. These are the qualities we value in a bonded partner." "It's been more than I expected. I thought it would be a simple assignment." I didn't imagine I would be creating something like this or learning so much. Your people's ingenuity and empathy have proven invaluable. The final stage of the ceremony was the symbolic partnership. It was not a traditional marriage as humans might imagine, but a bond of trust, cooperation, and shared vision. It required both partners to contribute equally, to harmonize their ideas, and to create together. Alex understood now that the essence of the bond was not control or dominance, it was collaboration. As the ceremony began, Alex and Liara stood together at the platform, their hands extended toward the floating shapes. This time, the task was more complex than before. The shapes responded to thought as well as movement, and the formation required not only skill but foresight and intuition. Alex felt the familiar tension in his chest, but he also felt something new, a deep confidence born from weeks of learning and practice. They worked in silence, their movements fluid and synchronized. Alex felt the energy of the shapes responding to his intentions, and he allowed his creativity to flow freely, blending seamlessly with Liara's precise guidance. Together, they shaped patterns of light and form that told a story of unity, understanding, and mutual respect. The structure grew, expanding in complexity and beauty. Colors shifted, lines intertwined, and shapes danced in harmony, forming a creation that seemed alive. The other Illyrians watched in awe, sensing the unique combination of human and Illyrian elements. It was a demonstration not only of skill but of the power of collaboration between species. Finally, the formation settled into a radiant, harmonious structure that pulsed with energy and light. The hall was silent, the magnitude of the creation resonating through every observer. Liara turned to Alex, her expression warm and approving. "This is the culmination of your journey. You have demonstrated what it means to be a partner, a collaborator, and a friend. You have brought humanity into our world in a way that is lasting and meaningful." Instead, he had discovered a world that challenged him, a queen who inspired him, and a partnership that demanded the best of his mind and heart. His human qualities, creativity, empathy, intuition, and adaptability, had proven essential. As the ceremony concluded, the Illyrians celebrated the new bond with a display of light and harmony that filled the hall. Alex felt the warmth of acceptance and recognition, a sense of belonging that transcended species. He realized that this was more than a personal triumph, it was a testament to humanity itself. Later, in the quiet of the palace gardens, Alex reflected on everything he had experienced. He had faced challenges he could never have imagined, learned lessons that extended beyond diplomacy, and discovered the profound value of human qualities in an alien world. He understood now that humanity's strength lay not in technology or physical power, but in creativity, empathy, adaptability, and the ability to connect with others in meaningful ways. Liara joined him once more, her presence calm and reassuring. "You have done more than fulfill a mission, Alex. You have shown that humans can be partners, collaborators, and innovators in ways that benefit both our species. The bond we share is not merely ceremonial, it is a bridge between our worlds." "I never imagined it would be like this," he admitted. "It's incredible. I've learned so much, and I feel like I've grown in ways I never expected." This is the true value of partnership. For the first time, Alex felt the full weight and beauty of the mission. He had not only completed his assignment, he had created something lasting, meaningful, and uniquely human. The Illyrians had welcomed him not just as a guest or observer, but as a true partner, capable of contributing in ways only humans could. And in that moment, Alex understood the truth that had guided him through every challenge. Being human was not a limitation. It was a strength. Curiosity, empathy, creativity, and adaptability were gifts that allowed him to connect, innovate, and inspire. In a universe full of unknowns, those gifts were invaluable. As he stood beside Liara, watching the city glow beneath the stars, Alex knew that the journey was only beginning. Humanity had found a place in the galaxy, not through conquest or force, but through understanding, imagination, and the ability to create bonds that transcended differences. And as the soft, luminescent light of Lithara bathed them both, he realized that the simple assignment he had once believed in was never simple at all. It was the beginning of something extraordinary.